Hi everyone, my name is Laura Lopez and welcome to my presentation on the philosophy of education. What do you see as the purpose of education in our society? In my opinion, I think the purpose of education is to shape students to be productive members of society. School teaches students how to behave, socialize, and the basic skills needed to continue higher education or enter the workforce. What do you think the role of an educator is both inside and outside the instructional setting? The primary role of a teacher inside the classroom is to teach and help students learn by preparing lessons, grading assignments, and providing constructive feedback. They are also in charge of managing the classroom and setting the tone for the class. Outside the classroom, teachers can take on other roles such as being coaches, tutors, club advisors, or sponsors, and counselors. On top of the additional roles I mentioned, I believe teachers are leaders in the communities, and it is important for them to be active members in order to create positive change. How have your experiences as a student impacted you as a future professional educator? My experiences as a student have taught me that teachers have a huge impact on their students' lives. Throughout elementary school, I had caring teachers that went above and beyond for their students, from offering advice to staying after school to go over lessons their students didn't quite understand or I didn't quite understand. I also had teachers that could care less about their students and were there just for the paycheck. You could tell by their lack of enthusiasm or the lack of teaching, and it made it clear that they didn't like their job. I am able to now use those experiences to aim to be a good teacher and be the teacher that I needed in every class. What three qualities do you believe an effective teacher should have? How can you develop, further develop, or continue to develop these qualities? So I believe there are more than three qualities that a teacher needs to be effective. But the top three qualities that I chose are patience, empathy, and drive for self-improvement. Patience is important because not all students learn the same. So there will be times where the teacher has to find new ways to teach a specific student in order for them to get the material or the lesson they need to learn. Empathy is also important because it is important for teachers to validate their students' emotions, no matter how big or small they are. Um, this helps build better relationship with students and creates a safe space for them to learn and thrive. Drive for self-improvement is essential in order to stay on top of new teaching strategies and material and be the best teacher uh, you can be for your students. There is always room for improvement. You can develop these skills by doing workshops, attending conferences, taking extra courses, discussing and learning from colleagues, reading books, listening podcasts. There are many ways you can develop these skills and continue improving to be the best version you can be for your students. What is your purpose in wanting to be an educator? So the main reason I chose to become a teacher is because I want to make an impact in my students' lives. I want to help teach future generations that they can be anything they want as long as they put their mind to it, regardless of their situation. I also want to be a positive role model for my students because not everyone has a person to look up to or count on due to every student's situation being different. Based on your research in this class, how would you change schools or the field of education so students can meet the challenges of the next 50 years? So based on what I learned in the exploration of education, I would change teaching to standardized testing. This method doesn't allow for teachers to teach other skills that are more important for students to learn, such as socializing and learning to process emotions. Teaching to standardized testing also doesn't leave any room for students to develop critical thinking skills and be creative. This way of teaching worked back then as it taught students to follow directions which factories wanted from their employees. In the next 50 years, we don't need to create factory workers. We need inventors, doctors, lawyers, painters, musicians, and basically anything a student decides to be. We must let them explore their interests so they are able to find a career they are passionate about. Based on what you have learned in this class, as well as your own personal experience, what is your working philosophy of education? My working philosophy of education is that every student deserves the equal opportunity to a high quality education. This means ensuring they have high quality teachers and the necessary materials needed for learning, from books to computers. I also believe every student must be provided with a safe learning environment where they can actively participate by asking questions and not being afraid to speak up. Every child has a desire to learn, but not all children have the right resources to achieve their learning potential.